But what was the idea behind giving these guys just a day to work on themselves?
Well, we had film work with individual players, and with that time of year, the NBA grind, and again, no excuse whatsoever. But we, as a coaching staff, we understand that, and some guys are at a wall, and physically, there's not a lot we could do on the court with some of the guys. Some of the guys got their work in, so we had a day of individual work, individual meetings with players, showing them what they're doing, what they're not doing, just to kind of, mentally get more prepared. Because, again, this time of year, physically, the body can only go so much, and so for certain players who have big minutes. And that's what we concentrated on today.
You touched on the fact that there's the grind of the NBA season. You guys have had to do some things with minutes-wise, addressing the absence of DeMar. How much do you give that credit to the recent rough spell?
Well, that's some of it. It's probably catching up with us. I thought we got off to a relatively good start with DeMar out and guys playing bigger minutes. But again, it's getting that time where minutes are ramping up, and it's telling on them in certain situations, mainly on the defensive end and some with their shooting, with the shots being short. But again, it's the NBA. We got to make adjustments as a staff and as players to get it back on track. And if it calls for getting other guys larger minutes off the bench, that's fine too, to give guys rest. But we just got to be creative as far as how we manage things until DeMar comes back. And again, he's not the cure-all and end-all. Each player has to get their body back right, and as a team get our rhythm back offensively and defensively to get us back on track. But again, adversity brings out the best or the worst in you, and we're going through an adverse time. Every team in the league that I've ever been in, my years in the league, goes through it. It gives you guys something different to write about also and talk about other than a winning streak. So again, we're going through it now. It's going to make us better. And I don't care what team you are, until you go through something, it doesn't make you better. I mean, we all are happy and full of joy and peanuts and candy when we're winning. But then again, you turn around and you find out who the real people are when you hit adversity, and that's what we're going through right now, and we'll figure it out.
You mentioned, sorry, go ahead.
This adversity, are you noticing that it's bringing your team closer together?
A little bit, yeah. It does. You learn who the leaders are on your team, and who who's on board, who's in the boat. And again, everybody's in the boat in the locker room. There's no splintering against each other, and we understand it's us against everybody else. And again, we're going to have to earn our respect, and we knew that going in this year, and I knew it going into this year, that it's going to be a year of continually proving ourselves and bouncing back, and that's what we got to do now.
How dangerous is it for some teams don't have the kind of chemistry that you guys have had earlier in the season? I mean, are you concerned at all? If things drag on a little bit. I mean, guys can sometimes start picking on each other. I mean, not
well. Yeah, that's true. But I think they're mature enough not to do that. And again, it's about winning. It's about figuring out a way to win. It's not about who's right, who's wrong. It's about coming together as a team collectively on both ends of the floor and and getting it right. And that's our job as a team, as an organization, is not pointing fingers, to stay together. And again, every team in this league, I don't care who you are, San Antonio, Golden State's going to go through it. Everybody's going through it a period of time, whether it's mental lull or physical energy or whatever it is in an 82-game schedule, that you go through this. And again, it's how we handle it while we're going through it as a team, as an organization. And I could care less what other people think outside of the group, but it's how we handle it internally is how we're going to bounce out of it.
As far as this team season has gone, I guess some pretty scathing self-criticism after last night's game with what Kyle had to say. You talked about finding a group of guys that are inspired to play. Is there some thought or some insight as to what the starting five might look like next time out?
We'll find out. We'll see. There's no decision been made about who the starting unit's going to be. Again, I wish it was one unit, one person, one person at fault. It's all of us. It's coaches, players, everybody. we're all in the same boat together. You know, I got to do a better job of calling plays or getting them guys in the right positions defensively, and as well as on our staff as well. So I'm not pointing fingers at anybody and at any one person. If we make an adjustment in the lineup, it's going to be to help solidify or give us something that we're probably not getting in a certain situation or a matchup or whatever it is. So, but it's not if we change it, it's not saying, hey, that person's at fault for a game losing streak.
Dwane, we spoke after various winning streaks about how it was a little easier to coach a team that, you know, is winning because things are lighter, they're fun in the locker room. Now that, you know, you've lost 4 straight, is your job a little bit more challenging?
No, it's coaching. Coaching, matter of fact, it's harder to coach when you're winning than it is to lose, to be honest, because, you know, especially when you got a good group like we have as far as guys listening, coachable, teachable. But again, coaching is difficult, winning or losing. It's never easy. But as a coach, I'm a realist, and I understand what works in good times, what works in hard times. And I just saw a lot of things when we were winning that I knew weren't going to be conducive against good teams, and when things got tough, when that shot's not falling, when the energy level is not as high as it should be, you know, some things we were getting by with. And again, you know, recognize it, and we was preaching it. And again, you know, as a young team, we continue to have to get better in those areas. And we probably wasn't good in certain areas that we were getting by with in certain games. And I knew that wasn't going to last. That we got to get better at. Not saying that it's going to last, but we just got to continue to improve in those areas.
Is it a matter of, you know, guys suddenly saying, oh well, all that stuff coach has been banging on about, you know, he's right, you know, because you know, now that they're losing, the message is easier to listen to?
No, it's never. It's not about, again, who's right and who's wrong. It's about getting it right so we can be in the money come March and April. That's what it's all about. It's not my idea. I'll listen to you. If you have an idea, I'm going to take it if it's going to help us win. And I'm from that old school of old coaches, and there's not one idea that's better than the other idea. It's what fits our team, what's helped us win. You know, you have so many. You have a million different ways to skin a cat. You have every analytical idea or way you should do things, analytical number that says, hey, here's the area that's right and wrong. But again, those numbers are people, and that's the part that we got to understand. And those people are young-minded people sometimes. We got to help them grow and go in the right direction, and they're going to grow at their own pace, and not when we feel like it's the right time to grow, but when it's their time to grow. But that's part of coaching. Coaching's never easy.
In terms of vocal leadership in the room, has anyone stepped up?
Well, we got a lot of leaders in the room. We have you know, Kyle's a leader, DeMar's a leader. Those guys have been, you know, vocal, but it's no ranting and raving going on. But they're saying doing the right thing. They're teaching the right things. Chuck Hayes is a leader. Lou Williams is a leader. Those guys have been in the league. Amir Johnson, I put him in that group. So they understand. They know what our issues are, where we have to get better, where we got to continue to improve as we go on this 82-game schedule.
Coach, how's DeMar feeling this morning? His conditioning, and is there a date circled for his return?
No date circled yet. It's when the doctors say he can come back. There's no timetable, no date set on it. How we playing is not going to dictate how fast he comes back. His body will just tell him when it's time for him to come back.
Still next week at some point?
I don't know. I don't know if it's next week or the week after. His body will tell him then.
Is there any way to lower Kyle's minutes in this stretch with DeMar? I mean, he's clearly struggling at both ends, defensively, offensively, shooting about 35% the past few games.
Right.
Is it just impossible with DeMar out?
It's tough. Yeah, that's a good point. And he's one of the guys who's just wearing, you know, just naturally with the time and minutes accumulated over time, not just the last few games, that you know, we're concerned about. But again, Ryan, it's just tough to say, hey, Kyle, come sit down when they just knock down 3 in a row on you or whatever. So we just have to find ways to curtail his minutes as much as possible without the risk of losing.
Like the Phoenix, like the tail end of the Phoenix game would be an example of that. Like,
well, yeah, and again, you say that, but it was a 13-point game with 5 minutes to go. And I've seen our team, that's the catch-22. You know, I thought about, okay, let's throw in the towel, but we've never been a throwing in the towel team, and we've never been a quit team. So to take him out that time and saying, okay, we're giving up, throwing in the white flag or whatever you want to call it, and we've never been that, and I don't want to set a precedent of doing that. And the players don't want to set a precedent of doing that. So that was a fine line at that time, and I totally understand, and that crossed our minds as a staff. Do we get him out now and, and give up? But again, we just cut it to 13. You could see the light, but as soon as they made another couple buckets and we couldn't respond, that was time to get him out.
What do you think of this young Celtics team post-Rondo?
Very energetic, quick, a lot like last night. A team that's quick with the basketball, athletic. Zeller's playing at a high level right now in the post. Our worst nemesis at where we are right now, but again, an up-and-coming team that's had bright spots in the last few games that, as a group.